Hey guys, welcome here. In last lecture I was talking about objects. In this lecture we'll continue with classes. Let's start. Open your coding editors and let's navigate to playground.js and let's do here a couple of changes. So let's see function print user info in a person object and let's remove this debugger. Let's remove this commented code. In print something we can remove this debugger. Alright, let's see helpers. In the helpers we can remove helper variable 2. This can stay, and also we can remove this commented code. We'll be talking about arrow functions very soon again. Alright, and here let's remove this commented part. You can still find it in my GitHub repository if you want, and let's keep actually maybe this part here, key one, or actually let's remove everything. I'll show it to you again. Alright, so I'll remove this. I will remove our mini assignment. You can still find it in my GitHub repository, and this code here. And also I will remove this. Okay, so now I would like to create class of a person. Alright, what is a class? Class is something like a blueprint for your data. You can call it also objects or instances of a class. I think it's still abstract for you, so let's create a class of a person. Let's create some instance of this class and let's see what does it do. Alright, so I will create here a person class. So I will follow this structure what we are already writing here. So I will say here, I will use here a special keyword class and the name of the class. Classes should be always uppercase. So you'll write here class person. Now you will write here curly brackets like this. Now I can create here properties, or rather you should call it member variables of a person. Alright, so we'll create your first name. You will not use here this column as you are used to in objects, but you will write here normally equal sign. Okay, and as I told you, class is just a blueprint for your data, so you don't want to assign here some specific values. So this is not a person or Philip Yarga. Alright, so this is just a person with the first name variable. Okay. So first name, and we can assign here, let's say empty string. All right, so this will be default value for this class. All right, let's get here last name. So last name, and it will be again empty string, like this. Let's get here age, and let's say age will be default value will be null, no, actually 0, or we can just leave it empty. Up to you, but I will leave here 0. Now let's create your function print user info. So print user info, you'll write it same. So print user info, just like this, normal brackets for a params, curly brackets for a function body, or you can write it as I showed you before. So print, so I will copy it, print user info like this, so function. Alright, and let's see why this is not working. Print the user. Oh, okay, this should be normal brackets, normal equal sign and not a column. This is not the object. Alright, and or you can write it print user info as the arrow function I will be talking very soon about. Okay, so different ways how we can write it. I will comment these ones for now, and let's continue with our print user info. What we want to do here, I can actually copy this console log. You can still have access here to this context. So I'm accessing my class instance, all right, with a this. We'll debug it, no worries. Now I will create here print something. Actually, we can copy print something. All right, and let's get here helpers. So let's remove this comma. Let's get here helpers. So we'll copy these helpers. Okay, and let's get here these helpers on the start. So we'll keep our variables together. As I told you, you cannot use your columns. So you will use here normal equal sign for helpers, but instead of the object, you can use the columns. Okay, so here in this outer part where we are assigning our member variables, you cannot use just a column syntax. You are using this equal sign, but instead of the object, you can freely use here columns, as you can see here, because this is the object here. This is a part of a class. All right, so we have our helpers. And let's see what else we have here. Nothing. All right, perfect. So now we can create an instance of our person. So under this class, so here after these curly brackets, I can create some instances of my class. So I can create here a variable, let's say const, and let's call it person1. And now when you want to initialize your class, you need to use special keyword new. And now name of your class. So new space and the name of our class is a person. And now you will call it as a function, so normal brackets like this. All right, so now we have a first instance. So let's create a second one, person2. Okay, I'll write your debugger. And then now let's see, actually, I will console log out here person1, and we have here function print user info, right? So you can normally access it with a .syntax, print user info, and call it. You can do the same with the person2, so person2, print user info. Let's save this. Let's have everything. Let's go back to your browsers. Let's refresh, and let's see where we will get. So we are getting before we are creating instance of a person. I'll get here. Now I will move to the next line. So this first arrow, step over next function call, and now you should see here, actually we have here a breakpoint. All right, let's forward this. Okay, one more time, I'm sorry. Refresh. I will clear my console from before like this. Let's see sources, and let's click here this next arrow, person, next arrow, and you should see here person1. You can see age of 0, first name, empty string. We have here helpers, we have here last name, and so on. When I will go to person2, it will be exactly the same with the empty string of a first name, empty string of a last name, age of a 0. So how can we provide some values for our member variables? Okay, so how can we do it? Let's go back to our calling editors. And of course, you can use here this dot syntax. So I can say here person1, and I can get here our first name. So I will say here first name, and I can say here Peter, person1, last name equal, and let's assign here, let's say it will be Peter Green. All right. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Now you will see that I will assign these values to my variables. Okay, so I will get here. Now I have here person1, here will be first name, Peter, last name Green. When I will print here user info, you will see here, hello Peter Green of age 0. But it is not a very convenient way. There is a better way, and you can utilize constructor. Let's go to your calling editors. And I can write here a special function on a class. Usually you will write it just after your instance variables, after your member variables. So you can create this function just after helpers. And this one is called constructor, and this is a reserved word. You cannot use constructor as your normal function. So constructor like this. Okay, so it's a function. I'll write here normal brackets and a curly brackets for this function body. And now I can specify here parameters of this constructor. So I can specify here my first name, all right, last name, and now age. So whatever I will pass into my person here when I'm creating instance of my person, so data here inside of these normal brackets will get inside of a constructor, okay? So now I can say here, I told you that I have access to this context, so I can say here, I would like to access here this first name, and I would like to assign to my first name of this instance of a person, first name we are getting into the constructor. So I will get it there like this. I will do the same with the last name and the age. So I will say here this last name, I will assign here last name. I will do the same with the age, so this age, and I will assign here age. Perfect. All right, let's scroll down. And let's see our person. I will remove this. And now I can say when I'm creating instance of my person, I would like to send these values to constructor. So new person will be Philip, first name, last name will be Yarga, and age will be 28. Then I'm creating second person. So let's say here Peter Green, and let's say age will be 35. All right. So let's save this. And now let's see what we will get here. So let's have everything. Let's go back to our browsers. Right, and let's inspect, let's refresh, and let's see what we will get there. Okay, so now you can see when we will get to our person, now we are creating instance of a person. and we are passing Philip, Jerga, and a 28. When I will step into function, so step into next function call, I should get inside of a constructor, and indeed I'm getting inside of a constructor. I am getting here this Philip, Jerga, and a age 28. And I will move to the next line. Actually, this down arrow, I think. All right, let's see what's wrong here. Actually, it will be better when we will write debugger instead of a constructor. So let's write debugger here. All right, let's go back to browsers. Let's refresh. And now just let's click here this continue script execution, sorry, some script execution. And you should jump into your constructor. And now you can see here first name, last name, age, and we are assigning to this first name, which is an empty string, last name, empty string, and age values. We are getting here Philip, Jerga, and a 28. So I will make these assignments. All right, we are stepping outside, and now when I will hover over my person 1, I'm getting here age 28, first name Philip, and last name Jerga. And when I will go to print user info of this instance person 1, so I will click here step into next function call. I will call here print user info on my instance of a person 1. You will see here first name will be Philip, last name will be Jerga, and the age will be 28. Right, I will move this. We'll step outside. Now we are creating second instance, so we'll step into. All right, you're getting here Philip, last name, well, actually first name Peter, last name Green, age 35. Let's click here resume script execution, so we'll jump inside of a next debugger. All right, and we're assigning these values. You can see first name, last name, age are empty because there is a new instance variable we just created. We're assigning these values we pass to a constructor. Okay, we will assign them, and now we are getting outside, and we can print our user info on instance 2. So on our person 2, which will be this first name will be Peter, last name Green, and age will be 35. Alright guys, so I think that should be it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll continue more with the classes. I will be talking more about constructors, and then we will explain more this context, arrow functions, and other important concepts. So guys, that should be it for this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers guys!